Hey everybody, welcome back to Stone Face Reactions. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're here we're reading some Vanadis hearts here.
Literally just told you I was under you.
And I already forgot, so let's
For
go ahead and
you
get
and the watching audience, there was 10 seconds between me reminding him and this.
in one ear out the other. That's all it is. I'm empty-headed today. So, we got a comment here today from Amaret who says, "Hello, Ractus. Thanks you again for featuring my comment in your video. Always appreciative of the two of you dedicating time to your video to discuss my comment. So, thanks you. Thank you. Anyway, really enjoyed the video of the newest chapter of Vanadis Hearts. I always enjoy all of your interactions with each other. Your banter is always so fun to watch. I also always enjoy all of your observations and notes from throughout the chapter. Overall, this was a great chapter, as you mentioned. Very stunning visuals in the chapter. We also got more characters to wonder about in the future chapters. A person that Vilda is pursuing, who refers to simply as that man, whose picture was faded on edge. We get to see the caretaker for Yoshika, Boss Issa, who also seems to be Yoshika's teacher, and a mysterious person talking to him over the radio. Curious to see how the story evolves from here. Now that we are getting a more expansive character roster, besides that, love the variety of locations in the manga. Vilda and Kyu are passing through a black market. Vilda hoping to get more information about the Gundam in the last chapter that caused the destruction of the city. It was comical how Kyu got separated from Vilda. Poor Vilda seems to be getting frustrated. Will this occurring happenstance? The reason for the separation was Kyu finding a card pass for the space elevator. Love the expressions of wonder in that page. He wonder later go get it gift wrapped. Oh god.
He would
Destroyed me.
Hold on.
He would later go get a gift wrap. There we go.
So as to present a gift to Vilda, then Yoshika would enter the scene. The interactions between Yoshika and Vilda kept me on edge of my seat. We are once more experiencing a tonal shift in the overall story. It started off as a childlike innocence from Yoshika, who was looking to get a gift for her caretaker. Yet all the while, Vilda was on guard as something didn't seem right about Yoshika. Yoshika got the gift in hand at the expense of Vilda paying for it. But then as Yoshika starting complimenting and thanking Vilda, she would quickly drop the facade and plainly state how she was thankful to Vilda for creating the heart that allows her and the other children to pilot Gundams. Then the final page with Kyu looking out on. Sorry, now I'm screwing up.
I know. Vilda and trouble too.
On at Vilda and Yoshika, there was a variety. What the hell, brain? There was a very unsettling and very unnerving expression on Kyu's face. We could see a very different Kyu next chapter. It could all depend on how events unfold. Very excited and anxious for the next chapter. It's going to be difficult to wait for the next chapter. I need to know what happens next. Look forward to the next video. See, my problem is I'm looking over here, reading it off of Discord when I'm used to reading it over here on my notepad.
Oh, right.
Different text size, coloration, it's all throwing me off.
Still, glad we got a great fan here with us, and honestly, we're excited about it too. What other manga have you read in any recent time, aside from the ones that we're reviewing right here? When's the last time you remember doing that?
4 months ago, Gundam 00F.
Yes, because you were reading that for your reviews. I think the last time I actually picked up and read a manga on my own was probably a decade ago or more at this point.
I mean, I'm currently reading manhwa, which is the same as manga. Essentially, it's Korean. Let's see, I read Overgeared.
You're reading some more comics. It's a little good.
I'm reading Overgeared, which is on chapter 214. I read the tutorials Too Hard. I'm currently on chapter 147. I'm also reading Muren Lagann, chapter 182. Oh, and I'm also reading One Punch Man, which is now on chapter 200. So
there's so much One Punch Man. I keep getting videos about it. I'm just like, what the hell is happening? So far into the future of a show I haven't even seen.
Yeah, so I'm up to date on that. But yeah, no, I'm currently reading those, and of
Mhm.
course I went back over Psalm 100 when we were watching the show just to remind myself what I'd already read.
Yeah, you're the more like avid reader like over here. Meanwhile, I'm here just like I got this one, but this one is the one that has me. I want to see more of this, but it is being drip fed. We got like a few pages here today, and it feels like it's not enough. I need more. I need like a full like 120 page like comic book of this right now.
Well, it's because they're coming out on a monthly release from Gundam Ace, a
I
magazine.
know, and it's killing me, right?
Well, I don't know. I kind of think I'd rather have it this way because otherwise I get it all at once and then
Mhm.
there's nothing.
Right, right. You got your preferences. Meanwhile, like I want to just binge everything. But thanks for being with us. We're glad to have you around, Emirates.
Yeah, that was
And
basically
keep
the
on watching
recap.
because guess what? We're reviewing it today.
I mean, that was basically the recap. We don't have to do a recap now.
Oh gosh, yeah. Gotta go ahead taking a breath from all of that. Hey, you want to go ahead and just get us started then?
All right. First page. We start off with Kyu closing the distance from where he was last panel of last chapter, having evidently seen Yoshika and recognizing her. He tells her to step away from Vilda, though he chooses to call her the Doctor, which is fairly informative as to where Kyu is already taking this.
Hmm.
Then, for the sake of the viewers and possibly Vilda, he name drops her to indicate that he knew who she was without getting into a conversation first.
Hmm.
We do a quick flash of our protagonist's eyes to get a read on the situation before ending the page on Yoshika's retort that she's been looking all over for him.
I definitely love the expressions of our two protagonists here. The way damn it, I was about to say Kira. Kyu looks like far more serious than I think we've ever seen him in the entire comic so far. And then of course just Vilda just being absolutely like taken aback by literally everything. Is a nice setup for like where this is going and like what mood we're in for the rest of it, I think. Vilda is completely on the back foot and this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's obvious that Kyu takes everything very seriously in this
I guess
chapter.
other thing to keep a point on is Kyu already knowing Yoshika, and then later on we're going to talk about a couple other things, so we'll keep a pin on that.
All right, next page. Yoshika continues her happy expression, telling Kyu that everyone's been so worried and asking if they should go back to the doctor now. We get an obvious pause as Kyu gives her the serious eyes, which makes her question him again by saying the nickname that she gave him. And once again, in a rare moment of Kiryu's serious face, he tells her that he's not going back.
I love that in the second panel, Kyu has joined us here at Stone Faced Reactions, which is it is it's serious. It follows through with the entire with the emotions he's going through. But just the still frame of it is perfect. I want to capture that. That's our third commenter here now. But
I, if
I
I had the space for it, I would have.
I still love that Yoshika here is still keeping up this happy, bubbly, innocent attitude, and I think we're gonna start seeing where her personality really lies here. Where before we were like kind of wondering what role she would play. Here, we're gonna start seeing, I think, what is the true her.
Well, I think you're suggesting that it's an act, and I don't think it's an act. I think this is the real her.
Right, right. I guess that's sort of what I'm implying here. It's like how much of things are genuine, how much of things does she actually know, how innocent is she, what is she truly like on the inside, what are her goals and wants, especially once she meets opposition, how does she behave? We're about to go ahead and get a full blast of that.
All right, next page. Kyu states that Vilda is his doctor, and that's why he isn't going back. Pulling his hand away from hers, looking shocked, she shouts that he's being selfish. Three things leapt out to me on this page. One,
Okay.
I would have thought that Kyu was yelling too, if not for the fact that despite how wide his mouth keeps getting, there's no usage of exclamation marks.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the last pose we say Yushika. The last pose we saw. Maybe I meant saw. Last pose we saw Yoshika in was with her arms extended to her sides. Feels like we missed a frame where she clasped Q's hand for him to have then wrenched it away from her. And 3, I just can't get over this New York movie scene. We've seen how full the streets of this place can be in some scenes and empty in others. The crowd clearly looks like it's giving the scene a wide circle here, like any walk and talk scene in a movie set in New York.
Oh no, like that's completely on point. I kind of love it as like a scenario where we're gonna have like this high drama fight in the middle of the street where everyone can hear it. I feel you on like maybe the missing frame here, but like it's clear like Yoshika is trying to drag Kiyu with her. And then we have like the anime hand withdrawal. Like I've seen this motion before. I see it on the page and I go like, yes, this is exactly what's happening. This is like good representative motion, I think. But of course, now we're getting the emotion out of Yoshika. We're seeing what she falls back on now that she's failing, which is, of course, to be increasingly childish. You are being selfish is not the argument you make when you're trying to rationally convince someone, is it? Just look at Athearn and how successful he is.
Well, I
in
mean, they're
Gundam Speed.
kids. They're kids.
They
I don't
are
think
kids. They are kids.
I think rational is in the argument.
But I think this is going to demonstrate maybe like a difference in emotional understanding between the two.
I don't know. Q has any emotional understanding either from our previous chapters.
Well, no, he has the toys for that, you know, and Vilda, of course, who was probably a better role model.
All right, next page. Getting Yoshika's retort, she breaks through all 3 of the page's panels to stand in front of a shimmering garden as she sarcastically questions about Vilda being his doctor, answering quickly that there is no way, no how, that they only have one doctor and that he can't just call someone else that. In our last panel, we go straight to Crazy Eyes as she shouts that they must be good kids for the Gundam and the doctor.
Yeah, this just kind of like adds on to the pile of like what I was talking about. Her rationale for what is good or bad is like, does the adult in the room think I'm being good or bad, right? That's a childish perspective on morality.
Well, I mean,
Or even like what they should be doing.
We saw like 2 chapters ago that she just defaults to what she's told, as per the fight that we got with her in the ground forces.
Yeah, I think this is the point where I can say we've spent enough time with her, we've seen enough, and we see her like pouting here, like in this very fashionable way. We know exactly what she's like now. This is her at her most unreasonable, and then she's gonna go ahead and get a high-powered weapon in her hand.
Well, I think my point from before is that the 2 aren't different from one another.
Mm-hmm.
That the 2 aren't different from one another, that she is the very attached little girl, and she's also the very suggestible person.
This also has like very come back to dad energy. You know, like we already know Vilda has had interactions with someone else here. Clearly they were part of an organization, and clearly she has parted ways from that organization. But the way the kids internalize it, or at least the way she's internalized it here, is as like parents splitting up. Right now, she's like, no, Dad was the good one. Come back with us.
Well,
that's like how I'm feeling it here.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
It's the childish perspective and mentality about it all.
Well, it's not even. I don't know, because it's not really Dad is the one for us or whatever. It's there's no dads other than, which isn't really an argument you can clearly make. It's just you can't have any doctors before our doctor.
Your parents not our real dad. Come back to ours. It has all the vibes of it, even if it doesn't have like the perfect like analogy, is what I think.
I mean, I don't know. It just feels like there's something really wrong with that, but I just can't verbalize it well enough to make a debate point.
Yeah, that's fair. We can go ahead and just go to the next one.
All right, next page. Focusing for a moment back down on the lighter that she bought our smoking man on the plane, I imagine this is the moment where the character half whispers to themselves. In this case, that Q is always running off on their own, playing and getting dirty, which is when we get more than exclamation marks. We go massive chat bubbles with jagged edges and get a shot of her obviously screaming, with people in the background now gawking as well. Yoshika repeats that they must be good kids, adding that only the doctor can make us clean again. For the cherry on top, she slaps him with the ultimate insult, calling him a duty head and implicating that he understands nothing. I like that the reverse shot also shows Q grasping the pass he had gotten earlier from Vilda, kind of just mirror showing that they both bought gifts for the person closest to them.
Right, the parallels are good here, but honestly, you can't recover from that insult. Once someone calls you a duty head, there's nothing you can do. It's just over. You just got to accept defeat, right?
Well, I mean, you've got the classic "I'm rubber and you're glue" retort.
Yeah.
I think circa 1875.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's called the Paris rebuttal.
Oh yeah. Classic. I still like it, of course. We're doubling down on the childish, including like throwing the tantrum in public, appeal to authority, the childish insults, and of course just saying it's like you don't understand anything. I'm the only one who can write, which is also the most childish thing you can do.
Well, I mean, also pointedly, she's shouting enough that people are actually turning to look at her.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the throwing the tantrum part of it. But of course, Kyu is completely unmoved by all of this, and the second panel, only the doctor can make us clean again, it is giving me like very bad vibes here, right? Tell me you're reading that too and going, this doesn't sound good.
Well, I've already said that all the witches are bad guys, right? So, I mean,
Right,
technically,
right.
I've also said Vilda is a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, they've done something to the kids where they've replaced their internal organs and they can't survive 800 meters away from a Gundam. So,
yeah. So it's just adding to that layer right there of all the witches are not quite right.
of
But
course, we mean old term for witch, not the new term for witch.
right.
All right, next page. I don't think there is much more the text bubbles themselves could do to indicate the volume of the screaming has risen any, but the first panel shot of Yoshika herself does a good enough job of making me feel that is what is going on as she continues shouting, saying that Q will come back right now and not to cause trouble for the doctor. And to Q's credit, he doesn't raise his voice at all, merely asking in return what she will do if he says he doesn't want to, adding insult by saying that she knows that she can't beat him. I don't know where Q has this confidence from. We got a whole chapter showing Yoshika fighting before. I would put money on her beating Q in a Gundam any day of the week. No offense to our main character, but her Gundam is badass, can fly, and she's shown incredible ability to control it. Q has shown an ability to punch things. These two are not even.
I gotta give it to you. Her Gundam's awesome. It is amazingly cool. Like, I can't argue with that. Like, hands down, you win that one.
Well, I mean, at best
It's just objectively correct.
At best, we saw Q in like a 2-page panel where he used the jets on the rocket arm thing to propel himself through the air to do a thing. And that's the best control he's ever had of the GU.
I guess maybe also the comparison point here is that Q has very obviously tried not to kill people. We have not seen Q in a position where they go, everyone here needs to die, and then see him just unload. He hasn't done that. He's not even the personality for that, I think.
I think I might have a note here later on that counteracts this thing that I'm about to say.
Maybe.
But we have seen him kill a number of people.
That's fair, but he hasn't gone out of his way, I guess.
Well,
but
no,
we'll cover that in a minute.
I think he tried to avoid killing the people in the security suits that were chasing him through the desert.
Yeah.
But surely, when he was escaping from that place they stole the battery from, in all that hectic chaos, somebody probably died.
Right. I guess it's entirely just a reading of the tone thing, I guess. But also, first panel, I am definitely hearing a young girl at maximum volume right there, and my ears are ringing. It's just so good. The clash, of course, with Kiyu being so calm is as the follow up is like the perfect counterposition between the two of them, as not just like obviously opposed in the disagreement they're having, but opposed in personality. This is good. This is good at comic writing.
All right, next page. And then to remind us even more that these two are both children, Yoshika starts to hold her breath. Vilda looks aghast, and Kiyu has an expression I can only describe as the epitomization of bruh. Meanwhile, people are still gawking and staring. Grabbing Kiyu by the arm, Vilda starts walking away, telling him that they should just get out of there. Meanwhile, behind them, Yoshika gasps for breath before sadly grasping at her dress, staring after them as she's left alone in the crowd.
I need to save that bra for later. That's my spirit animal right there.
If there was enough to make an emote out of that, I would include that.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, no, this is the point where we go ahead and get the turning point for this little series of events. We're wrapping up this one. We're going to go ahead and see, well, what are you going to do now that he said no?
I would say this is probably my favorite page of this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've already clipped it. But it's my favorite page of the chapter because it's the most humanizing to Yoshiko. The pouting, I'm holding my breath face, the bruh from Kiyu, and then just the I'm alone in the crowd. It's a sad shot of Yoshika.
Not to mention the reaction of the entire crowd going from like intensely looking in on what this is all about to very swiftly moving along with their day. The entirety of this is like the best relief of tension for that scene there could be. And then of course follows right up into and Yoshika is determined to continue doing what she's doing.
Right. Without any Gundams involved, this is the penultimate. This is the ultimate of what
Hmm.
these two kids can do to one another outside of outside of a Gundam.
Yeah, I mean, far from it to far be it from me to say, we're not going to see two infirm children fight each other sometime in the future, hand to hand. It's gonna happen,
Now,
but not today.
when I said this was the best page, that was just me off the cuff. I didn't have that written down. So
Yeah.
when I say this for the next page, page 8, the worst page of the chapter. Yoshika closes her eyes, takes a breath, pulls out her phone, and calls the plane. The person on the other side asks what she's been up to, running off on her own, to which she responds, nothing, and that it's not important. More importantly, referring to them as Doctor. I say it's the worst page of the chapter due to the next to last panel, featuring an upskirt of a little girl for no reason. Mind you, I can't imagine any good reason for it to exist either. It's unnecessary, and I fully do not support such things. It's different when we do it with Vilda. She's an adult. This is a child.
Utterly fair point. There's also just like not a lot happening here because like we were just talking about, we just had all the tension relieved. We're at a quiet moment with her alone, and we're just kind of very slowly going through them. Even if we like, if I just close my eyes, ignore the upskirt on the young girl for a moment, it is it is just her moving the plot along. That's all this one is, which it's fine. We got to. We're getting plot next time.
I just can't imagine why that panel exists. You could have erased the whole bottom, just had the plane there, and then text bubbles, right? The plane
Mhm.
implies everything. What does the upskirt shot imply?
All right, here's my alternative panel. Like, imagine Gundam Wing style for a second. You have like the shady room. You have like the one triangle of light across their face, illuminating specifically the expression of their mouth. And then you get like the slow upturn creak of like she is like manipulating the doctor here in the way she talks about these things, and she's excited to push him to do what she wants here.
I don't think.
or something like that.
I mean, I understand what you're doing, like the image you're trying to paint, but I
Yeah.
also just don't think that's what she's doing. I think she's manipulating.
It's probably not the correct one. You're right, but it's like something like that would probably have been a good place to put there, right?
I feel like her facial expression probably doesn't change from the first panel. That she's
Hmm.
upset and she's still upset from between the exchange, and
Maybe
she's
we
like,
just get like the first panel again, but like a single tear now as she talks into the phone.
well, see, that's why I said that we could just do a full bottom panel of the plane that
Yeah, yeah.
implies who she's talking to, where they're at, and I think that's as much information as is needed because nothing else gets implied in this whole page.
Hmm.
It's a bad page. It's well drawn, except for the one panel, but
It's a mediocre page. Is would be my counter
it's a
opinion.
full page
It
for
is the worst
basically.
in it because it is the most average.
Well, it's a full page for 2 lines of text and
Right.
shows nothing new. We know she had a phone. We know she has a face. Now we know she wears underwear, I guess.
Speaking of the panel I suggested, first panel of the next page.
Yoshika then informs the doctor that Vilda and Kyu are in this town, to which he replies that she should head back to the plane and that they'll send out an Avada, the Gundam. Meanwhile, we see Vilda's truck hauling ass down the highway.
Yeah. Here we're moving back into like motion. We're getting our momentum. The pan back I think is like a good scene transition for this, but otherwise it just things are getting into motion. Like I was starting to say, we get that panel that I was saying could have been on the last page, which I guess that's why like they didn't put it over there because they have it over here.
Because they don't have a lot to work with right now, it feels like. And I mean,
Right.
to their credit, the drawing of her face, she is
Mhm.
smiling, but it doesn't feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it, but it doesn't feel like the smile of, well, I lost that fight, now I'm being spiteful. This just feels
Oh yeah,
like,
no, this is like the smile of like, oh yeah, I'm so happy to have seen them again. We're gonna meet up again real quick, right?
well,
She's happy because she's in
now,
a good mood
now
now.
that you've said that, now yeah, I would say that. I was about to say it sounds like she's happy to be talking to whoever's on the phone.
Hmm. That could also be it too. You know, you just take on like the first personality that fits whoever you're talking
No, I
to.
think you're closer to right because I don't see any reason
Maybe.
why they would have angled her face up like that unless she was. The implication of being wistful or nostalgic is
Yeah,
typically
yeah.
the upward angle face. Because, like the same way if I was looking down to the ground, I'd be moping or in a rut or something like that. The we do a whole diatribe now of the angle of faces as to their meaning in drawn media. Next page, we get an action shot of Vilda at the wheel, showing that we aren't letting the Haru pilot R escape. She begins thinking to herself that she didn't want to meet them yet, and that if that girl is a pilot, that would mean that there would be a Gundam within 800 meters. The same radius that Kyu is stuck within. Checking her rear view, she spots the plane, which seems to have already taken off in the distance, cargo bay doors wide open, as she notes that it's coming her way. In the last panel, we see it dropping the Inavata right at them. Something occurs to me from this page that I didn't really consider before. If you wanted to remake G Gundam, you could totally do it with a Vanadis heart, sort of.
Oh, huh.
Imagine Domon Kashu having to always stay within 800 meters of his Gundam, or the storylines you could write keeping track of the Gundam pilots knowing their suit was always within 800 meters of them.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is a good story element that like lets you always know like if you see them, you're in danger. They're not here to play.
Well, it's like any time that there's a dramatic element in a movie, right? And two characters are like they're standing in the middle of a room, but they put
Mhm.
their guns down on a table already, and it's like we're gonna fight, right? Do I want to fist fight you? No, I probably don't want to do that. There's like that moment's hesitation before they both turn and run to get their weaponry again. Just knowing,
Right,
except
yeah.
in this situation, they're not running to get a gun. They're running to get inside of a multi-level building to come
Yeah.
pile on your ass, hopefully before you get into yours.
Mm-hmm. Here's where I want to like go ahead and pull out the pin and say, like, earlier we were saying like Kiyu and Yoshika obviously already know each other well enough that they could have the conversation that they did. If this was their first meeting, it could not be like this, right?
Well,
But here we have Vilda going, "Oh no, I didn't want him to meet them yet." But they've already met. They already know each other. They have a history. So what's the angle here? Am I like missing something?
well, I think even more pointedly, I don't think he would say, "You know, I can beat you," unless they've done something before. So it's not even that they know each other; it's that they've piloted Gundams against each other before.
Right. I think the only other way I could interpret it is as Vilda going like, I didn't want him to get into another fight again until not right now. That's the only other way I can kind of go with it. Otherwise, I'm just kind of wondering. Vilda has more to explain here later.
Yeah, I would say my read would be more so that Vilda doesn't know everything. That possibly she abducted Kyu without knowing who Kyu was or their relationship to anybody else.
As far as like the art here as well, I love Tokyo Drift Vilda. Definitely gonna go ahead and edit that into a video later. But the Gundam drop here is both simultaneously really cool because it is, and also a little silly because I just look at this and I'm just thinking, yeah, okay, it's gonna fall. It's in a complete A pose, and it just flops directly into the ground.
Well, no, remember it can fly. The Inavata can fly, so it's really just
Right.
I'm gonna build up velocity so I can drop you so you can keep moving at full speed.
Yeah. It's only a little silly because it gives me that impression looking at it. But logically, all these things can happen. She can fly, and it is still cool. Also really cool, that is some danger close flying from a plane in that shape, that mass. That is not how far you should be flying off the ground in a cityscape. This pilot's crazy.
Oh, we already covered that before. I believe I covered that this was an expert pilot because
Mhm.
I think it was the last chapter or somewhere before that we saw that he landed on a street where the clearance between the buildings and his wings was incredibly small, like
Oh yeah.
stupidly, to the point where if he didn't know how tall the buildings were, he might have clipped some.
Yeah. No, this additional points in the bucket. This pilot is the best pilot you could ever ask for if he's pulling the stuff off and there's no problems.
Well, then the confusion lies in the fact that you call people who are in Gundams pilots, but you also call aerial, you know, people in planes pilots. So this guy could suck ass in a Gundam. So he's not the best pilot. We need children for that, clearly.
That's true. Children are the best pilots.
All right, next page. If this was animated, I anticipate that the next page would have been a still camera looking at the Inavata as it flies down. The camera phasing through the phase. I think I just typed a bunch of words twice. Phasing through the face. That's what I meant. The face of the Gundam as it hit it, and transitioning to the cockpit to show Yoshika looking crazy as she cries out that Kyu got tricked by an older woman.
Yeah. Visually, we have like the classic, like the giant robot outside reflects the user inside kind of deal, which Gundam likes to do, and like a lot of other things also do because it's a good visual. But here it's also completely literal because that's exactly the text we've got on the show. That Gundam is her right now.
It also doesn't make much sense because in no Gundam is the cockpit in the face. So
Also true, but I mean, you need to draw the visual parallel more than anything.
Also, I would pointing out just now because I'm just noticing it. I think that's the worst face shot we've ever seen. Because it looks like, and I have no way to point this out using two hands because of my push to talk. It looks like one eye is right here, right, and the other eye is way over here. Like it's not drawn proportionally correct.
No, this is right. I'm looking at him going, like, no, this is the proper perspective.
Now, the distance from one eye is right here. The eye distant from the nose, which, given the mirrored nature of a face, the other eye should be right here, but it's over here. It's like this.
We're still mostly head on. We're just at a light angle.
We're not head on. Let's see, camera here. She's like this. She's away. This eye is doing a this, and this eye is doing a this. The eyes are way separate. Well, at least one eye, for some reason, this eye looks like it's in the normal spot, but this eye is going over here.
I think it looks fine. That's all I got for that one. But also, it is funny to see her, saying, like, tricked by an older woman. Immediately, we're just going straight into the jealousy arc. It's all childishness with her. We're never gonna leave. That's just what she is.
Well, I would argue it's not childishness. It's, like, I don't know what you call it. The area between being a young adult and transferring your friendship emotions into romance emotions. So that,
Yeah.
that jealousy is built not from a place of childlike friendship, but of emotions inside that you don't understand.
Ah, those good old preteen confusion emotions. Hell yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, that's the way I would put a read on it.
No, it's fair. It's fair. It makes sense.
Next page. With that, Q rushes off down the back of the truck towards the GU. Also, I still find it very confusing that we've named these two literally one letter off from each other. And having an adorable yelling match with Vilda, where it almost seems like a parent and child thing. Vilda telling him to put on his pilot vest, and him yelling back he doesn't wanna, and that he can beat Yoshika in a flash anyways. Vilda puts her foot down, saying it's too dangerous, causing Kyu to stop, though looking pouty as he does so.
Yeah, no, like the exact tone of this conversation is it's too cold out there, put on your jacket. I've had this exact argument when I was a kid. It's like, no, it's not that cold. I'll be out there a second.
Yeah.
This is the discussion. The word for word, I've had this.
Famously, you couldn't put your arms down. We all know.
Oh, exactly. But no, this is adorable. Like we've gone from high stakes tension, she's in the mech threatening everyone, to the comedy bits, which I honestly love. It is so adorable seeing these two.
All right, next page. Vilda asks once again to do it for her, giving Kyo a flashback of Yoshika shouting at him that he's being selfish. Our last panel showing Kyo donning the vest as requested and making their way to the GU.
Yeah, this is actually a lot all in one, isn't it? Like it's the payoff for like the previous like little argument. It's the payoff for like the parental relationship these two have had like the entire last like 6-7 chapters, right? It's Kyu like demonstrating a moment of self-reflection and growth, like saying it's like, no, I'm not like that, I'm better than that, I'm not like this childish person here. And then of course them like putting on the vest, which I think I commented when we saw like Yoshida in it, that like it changes the tone of everything, right? If we're going from casual outfit to military vest.
I have another future comment that's reflective of that, so I'm just gonna hold back on that one.
Okay, that's good. Like you can go ahead and say your part when you get.
I mean the Yoshika comment. I
Right,
really
right.
didn't consider it as the payoff for everything. I just saw it as just another page representing their back and forth. I don't consider them to have really a mother-child relationship, even though I referenced it. I just said they were acting that way. Because the way Vilda's like, I gotta teach them about the world, doesn't come off as like a mother to a child. It comes off more like, like a movie where like a horror, not a horror movie, like maybe a war movie, where the parents of a child have been killed, and just some random dude who's trying to survive has to pick them up and try
The
to.
adoptive parental figure, or maybe a teacher, right?
Oh no,
is
not
what
even
maybe-
because adoptive suggests anything normal. Like when Wolverine and his daughter, right?
Yeah.
The Wolverine or Wolverine, I can't remember the name of the movie. Where he didn't know he had a daughter, and he isn't prepared to have a daughter, and he's in this giant fight chase thing, and it's like, I've got to teach you as much as I can, otherwise you're just gonna fucking die. It's I'm not in a position to be a parent, didn't want to be a parent, and I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to impart what I can in case something happens to me.
But at the same time, like, obviously, like, so much is built up for Vilda to be the parent here, to be that adoptive parent. Like, everything they're teaching, the way they treat Q, the way Q interacts back with her, they're definitely like on a very casual relationship they're like on a very friendly terms. It is the most positive that relationship could probably be, but it is still that relationship.
I think my biggest argument against it is the Q walking in on Vilda practically naked scene, right? That wasn't a mother-child thing. That was I don't know, it was something else. It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't sexualized or anything, but it's very much a not that kind of scene.
Right.
And it's
I
like
mean, honestly, I would probably say that's most reflective of Vilda and her own personal level of childishness than anything else.
But it's like one of the first things that we get, which kind of flavors their relationship the whole way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some codependency going on here, but let's go ahead and talk about the next page.
We then see the GU slam its arms against the inner roof of the truck, throwing it wide open as it lifts itself up from the speeding truck's back end.
Yeah, this one is a quick one. Straight up action.
Really, I thought it was the culmination of... No, I'm joking.
Oh, gotta hit me with that. Surely you must have a deep dive on all of these. Tell us about the eye line again. But no, the GU gets up, looks real cool. I'm good.
Next page, as the Anavata comes screeching to a halt in front of the GU, we get the most anime shot of all. Both sets of Gundam's eyes flashing at one another in recognition.
Oh yeah, no, this is the setup for the duel. I absolutely love the first panel here. That's just great. I want to see that like in action. I want to see the Gundam slide into a stop. It'll be good.
Also, its foot broke panel. I just noticed.
Oh yeah, no. There's been plenty of that this episode, hasn't there?
Oh, I've mentioned it twice now.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of merged that into the head of the GU.
I think it's good. It makes it like super dynamic.
My nose got all itchy all of a sudden. Have you explained that for the viewer? Keep seeing me doing this with my nose. Now I'm not combing out my mustache. I'm just itching. All right, next page. In our only 2-page spread of the issue, we see the GU on one side, its jet arm extended out and across from it, and then the Anavita poised with both swords extended, clearly having decided to set the stage for a fight in the most open part of the ruined city. Though I will say, confusingly, Vilda has decided to not pull the truck any further away from the scene of an upcoming combat.
This is some great posing right here between the two of them. Positively love it. Great splash page. I want that as a wallpaper background. I really do. It's so cool.
You can just make it one then.
Yeah, I know. I could just go ahead and clip it again. Or I could just clip Kyu's face going brawl even bigger and make that back.
Oh, that would be all blurry though. I don't think you'd want that.
Something that's coming to my mind here is that since this is a 2-page spread, obviously the center fold or like the fold of it is right in the middle. You have left and right. Do you think one of the previous pages where it's just like the GU getting up is there specifically to make it the proper page count so that we have this in the middle?
I mean, it could be. I'm assuming the artist would get that information ahead of time, so yeah. Possible.
Right, exactly. So, like, it would be a part of their planning. It's like, I gotta go back and add this page here. This is why I have to draw a couple of things out. It's like, it makes sense from that perspective. I've been thinking about it, but I mean, I don't have that kind of industry knowledge. I don't know what they're thinking. It's fun to think about.
Yeah, because it's not so much manga planning, since this takes place in a monthly anime book or a monthly Gundam Ace book. So the Gundam Ace would have to be telling these people, you have this many pages that you can do your stuff on.
It's just one more thing to think about, like, when something goes from, like, one medium to another, just like, why in this anime is this weird long pause between these things and these weird shots? It's like, oh, right, because when they were making it a comic book, they needed a 2-page fold, 3 panels ahead, and that's why they did it here.
I mean, we've made that commentary before, that the differences between anime that are transitioned from light novels directly to anime versus the transition from a manga or a manhwa to anime have different concerns. Like, light novels have a lot more pause, thinking, and explanation, exposition versus a manga, which tends to draw the combat and the action. So it transitions.
Right, which is already basically the storyboard for the anime, honestly.
Yeah, it transitions itself easier. Next page, we get one last shot of Kyu concentrating. The whole top-down shot of them in the cockpit before centering on their face, where we get the determination pose.
Yeah, this is the hype moment. This is Kyu's about to start with their first punch, and we're gonna go ahead and get the fight. And oh, look at this next page. They're just standing there.
Our next shot of Yoshika shows that she has no problem putting her vest on, as it's also the first thing we ever saw her wearing as well. She calls out to her doctor, saying that it looks like Kyu is willing to fight, and asks if she should engage him. We then turn our attention to an armored car, as a man gets out of the side door and tells her not to, that combat isn't their first priority, telling her to sit tight for a bit. We then get a back shot of him looking off towards the truck, where we also get a silhouette of Bandito Vilda, standing in the distance nearby. I'll admit I could hear spaghetti western music playing for this panel.
It is a nice parallel standoff to the one that we got between the kids and between their Gundams too. It's but of course now the tension has been racketed down. The kids are waiting, the machines are ready to start fighting, and the adults in the room step out and go, "No, hold up, let's go ahead and talk for a moment."
Well, he said it's not their first priority. I would assume
Getting everything back in one piece would be the priority.
No, I was going to say, I don't know what their priority is. Is it Giyu or is it Kyu? What's more valuable? The kid,
or is it Vilda that's more valuable?
The kid that's full of unproducible medical technology, or the Gundam, which by this point we've got to know there's tons of them already. Because we know that... God, I can't remember their name. What's the name of... Oh, God, it's in my notes anywhere. I just had the stupid idea to search my notes for the word Gundam. That was never going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what is they get? They have the trailer. Prospera shoots it all up.
The league or organization or star group, or...
They get infiltrated by the remains of... No. Yes. They don't get infiltrated. Yeah. They're the infiltrating body. Who's the infiltrators here?
I remember which group you're talking about, but I don't remember their name at all.
Ox-Earth, yeah. I'm sorry. I had to just look up the word...
Ox-Earth, yeah.
I had to look up the word infiltrated, and I knew I typed that somewhere. This is like infiltrated by Ox-Earth and passed by Vanadis. I wrote that all out. Yeah.
There you go.
That Ox-Earth, the remains of Ox-Earth, has that trailer full of... not prototype, what are they called? What is Ariel? Not the bigger bow. That is... that's... what's his name's? Anyway, the prototype model of which Ariel was one of. They had that whole trailer full of... Because you remember Prospero looks around and it identifies our two girls as the pilots of them, even though those aren't their suits.
Yeah. So those have to come from somewhere. We're getting closer to that at least. But
well, I'm just trying
I want to tumbleweed on this last panel.
I'm just trying to depreciate the value of why they would be coming for Giyu, and appreciate the value of why they might be coming for Kyu. Because it seems to me that if you don't have people who can do the Gund technology anymore, like if they're the rare commodity, then it might be more valuable to save the kids that are filled with it than it is to worry about the Gundams, which you have a literal trailer full of.
It's we gotta see what they're up to, and I think that's what we're getting to here.
Next page, our new doctor then asks Vilda to forgive him for stopping her in this way, just like a cop in a speeding trap, and questions if her name is Vilda Mirren. She doesn't answer him, but her thought bubbles lament the fact that they know her true identity after all. That just hearing the question answers all the worries she's been keeping silent about. He seems to take her silence as an affirmative in the final panel.
Right. I do find like the way he's like saying things to be interesting too. It's like maybe he didn't want to have to drop a Gundam on top of her to get her to stop and talk. He's being pretty calm about all of this and is a bit detached from it all.
Well, if you recall, when he was in the plane by himself smoking, he was talking to an authority figure beyond himself.
Yeah.
So he's just like a middleman here. He's like the, what do you call them? Servers? The people that give you the, I'm going to need to see you in court. The paper. I think they're something servers.
I don't remember if there's a formal name for that.
No, there is. Literally anybody who saw that She-Hulk, the TV show.
Yeah.
She gets served in that show, and she calls the dude, "You're a something server, aren't you?" And it's literally the title that they use in like everything else.
But yeah, no, this guy definitely has like an "I'm doing a job" vibe. Like he's gonna get off at 5 and like walk away,
and then end up having to fight some cursed spirits.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, next page. Previously, it had looked like the new doctor was holding a clipboard and answering questions on it, but we quickly see through Vilda's continued self-lamentations that it was actually a pad of some sort as he moves it to turn to face her. And we see on and we see on it an image that looks exactly like half the cut-up photo from, according to my collected notes, page 4 of chapter 6. When Vilda was considering the Mobile Suit Development Council.
Right. We're definitely gonna get the full answer to that in a second here, but we're holding on to Vilda here, her tribulations about everything, and of course having to finally face all this mysterious past we've been building around her. This is the moment, and it's happening over a Skype call.
Yep. So our final page. And in our final page, we get to see what that person looks like fully as he talks to Vilda remotely through the pad, saying that it's been a long time and that he's relieved to see that she's safe. She says the same in return, name-dropping him as Shijima.
Now, was that a name we've already gotten in the past here?
No, remember he was, as I previously pointed out, he was referred to in chapter 6, but not as with a name. She just looks at a picture amongst other pictures.
What was the context of that? Because now is the time where I want to put together and ask the question, who exactly is he to Vilda?
As I pointed out, his picture was a member of the controlling bit of the Mobile Suit Development Council.
Okay, associate co-worker is the current working standpoint.
Which,
then. Okay,
back then we were also having a debate about. That's why I looked it up just a second ago. The infiltration of the Mobile Suit Development Council by Ox Earth.
Yeah. So this is the person we're gonna have to blame for basically half the plot of Witch from Mercury, then, huh?
No. Literally, the Witch from Mercury is prosper. Like, if you were like to form like a bubble of everything caused by Gund technology, you would form like a bubble of witches, like the surviving witches, and what each of them launches off to do. Prospera launches off on her own thing. Bulmera launches off on. Well, she doesn't launch on her own thing.
She joins a different group.
Well, yeah, she literally gets taken in and does their thing. And then we have Vilda here, and I'm guessing Vilda's story's gonna stop somewhere before everyone else's, since we don't see her in the show. So this isn't really has anything to do with. There's no connection. She is a result of the oh damn it, what's the P word? A prologue. She is a result of the prologue, but in her own bubble. Really, the prologue is the cause of everything. And unfortunately, the one thing you might be able to take from this to say is the cause of stuff in Witch from Mercury is the Ox Earth infiltration of the Development Council, but unfortunately here, that also happens before Vanadis Heart. So, unfortunately, we're still ahead of the curve of everything that's being caused.
Gotcha. So I think there's two things that I take away from this. One is like the way Vilda like immediately steps into talking with him, where she immediately takes on like a different tone than like all the anxiety she was having earlier, to have like this casual, it's like, oh yeah, it's been so long since I've seen you kind of tone, right? She is going right back to, this is how I address this person. Rather than like however her mood was a moment ago. Kind of the same way we see with like Yoshika, I think. Or like the way that you were implying, like you saw Yoshika.
Well, I mean, do you remember Vilda from, was it chapter 2 or 3? Her plan is always instantly to lie.
Yeah.
That she has enough resources to make a lie seem true for just enough time to run away.
Oh, yeah. So you think she's like just falling back into that pattern as well, and this is just her starting line for it?
Well, I don't know. I don't think she's lying. I'm just saying that it's a pattern of habit that we know Vilda has. I think this is more likely, I know you, we have a history. Remember, we don't even remember in the prologue for Vanadis Heart, which goes back to Falk Wagner. She left somebody behind on Falk Wagner. We still don't know who that is, and assumedly it looked like that guy died, but in anime
it's got to be this guy then. Yeah.
Well, there's two people actually. Remember, she left one on a table that was being operated on, and there's the guy who sacrificed his life to save her.
Yeah.
Anime rules are, if you didn't see them die fully, they're not dead. So one could be this guy.
The RoboCop. Yes.
One could be this guy, or this guy is full of gun technology, and he's the guy who was getting operated on.
Which I guess brings me to my second point of, if we're still tracking it in a way that matters, he also has like the concentric circle eyes as a style choice. Whether or not that means anything, I think we had a long talk about, but I felt, it's relevant to bring up. He's one of the characters drawn in that style.
Conspiracy theory.
Of course.
Her brother.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too.
I know they said he died, but I'm also saying that the person who told her he died is also an evil person, even though
he killed your father from a certain point of view. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, God, I'm forgetting the doctor's name. The person Prospera worships and Vilda worked with.
Gosh. Oh no, all the names we need our conspiracy for.
Nabo?
Yes, Carter Nabo.
Yeah. That mom is constantly saying she's evil because, even in this, she's constantly being drawn as the dark figure in the back of a room. And then suddenly she says something good, she's bright and, that she's the one that said your brother died and then basically put her on the path to become a doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was saved all the time. He's been in the background. We at least have 3 different theories about who this guy could be.
Only one way to find out. Come back and join us next month. Oh boy. So, this entire episode, it's short. I want more. This leaves us on a big cliffhanger, and I'm excited for more. I think the best part of it was definitely the Kiyu versus Yoshika argument, which definitely had like the most fun of all of this, right?
I don't know. I like the pouting, holding my breath face. That was my favorite scene.
I'm definitely going to go on to use Kiyu's bruh in the future. Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of use out of that. So I've already gotten what I need out of this.
Yeah, I want to make an emote out of it if I can find a way.
Yep. So I guess with all that data, do you mind go ahead and taking us out if that's all we got?
Yeah, thank you for watching Stone-Faced Reactions. I've never really done the sign-off on these things before, so I just brain farted. I'm Theta. That's Griffin pointing in the right direction. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?